Heading out on break can be incredibly exciting. Extra sleep, time with family, and no lesson planning. But if we aren't careful, we might end up more stressed and overwhelmed when we return. In this video, I'm sharing with you 5 must-dos before heading out on break so that you can feel excited, energized, and ready to head back to school. Hello everyone, my name is Bridget Spackman. I'm a multi-age teacher in Central Pennsylvania. I teach 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students across all areas, and I have a passion for ELA, authentic instruction, and rigorous teaching. We all thrive for those few times of the school year where we can really spend some time away from the classroom and just refill our cups. But what about when we return? I get it. We are exhausted and barely able to hang on before break. Anything extra feels like it's a tipping point in our sanity. But if we don't take the time to follow the simple must-dos in this video, all of the relaxation that we've accumulated over this break will fly out of the window as soon as we step foot into our classrooms. So let's dive into the 5 must-dos before heading out on any long-term break. The first must-do is to discard any posters or anchor charts and clear your wall space. Take some time to really evaluate what you have posted inside of your classroom. Is this student work that can really just go home now? Are there posters or anchor charts that can come down? Chances are that you've posted these up since the beginning of the school year and your students are not actually using them the way that you've intended. So take some time and reflect on some of the things that you have happening on your classroom walls. Take those down, and if you're like me and you really want to keep them just to be extra sure, here's a quick tip. You can simply take pictures of your anchor charts and then save them on your phone. You can reference these later on whenever you need to build new anchor charts that go along with that same topic. Or as an extra bonus, you can print these out and have a binder of just anchor charts that you can keep with inside of your classroom. These are always nice because this binder can be just a reference tool for students to be able to use. So instead of keeping these posted, which if you're like me and you have very little classroom space as far as just walls and being able to hang anything up, this is a great tool to be able to use because your students can always go back and reflect back on these anchor charts. Lastly, you can always take these down, take those pictures, and then also post them within an LMS that you might have within your school that your students are using. Either way, you don't have to keep these up in the classroom because you feel as though your students need to reference them whenever you come back. You may as well just go ahead and reteach that and refresh your students' memories because they probably won't remember it all the way. And so it's a great opportunity for you to bring that back up, discuss it with your kids, create a new one, and post it up as fresh learning. The second must-do is to clean out desks or student areas, and this also means to restock on your supplies. I don't know about you guys, but I know that my students' desks tend to get a little bit nasty. They have a tendency to just kind of hoard papers or things that they accumulate. I find chippings of just, eraser shavings that are inside of there, tons of pencils, all of these different materials that are just not needed. And so take some time to really refresh their space because you also want them to come back excited and re-energized and ready to jump right back into their learning. And if they're coming back to a space that's cluttered, they may not feel that way. And it's just going to look like an impending doom that they are coming back to. So have your students clear out their desks. This means take everything out. I like to talk to my kids about the anatomy of a desk, and so we talk about all of the insides of it and what needs to go inside of it. Anything that is not on the anatomy of the desk on our whiteboard needs to either be taken home or thrown into the trash or put back to where it needs to go. So discuss with your students what desks should look like or what student spaces should look like. This can also mean any form of toolboxes or community supplies that you have. So if you're looking at some of those toolboxes or community supplies, you might want to refresh. Are there crayons that maybe you can throw away or create some really cool, art with, and then refresh it with new materials? Can you have students go through their own personal toolboxes and clear some of those out? And again, just really focus on what are the must-haves within that box. Like I said, they tend to collect things over time. And so it's always nice to be able to just refresh the space. If you have any form of a student area inside of your classroom where they either grab papers or other materials, this is also a really good time to have some of your students, maybe some of your best students who are really nice and tidy. I know I definitely have a group of those kiddos that I can always rely on to make it looking extra nice. And so you might want to put them on that classroom job of just kind of clearing it off, refreshing it so that it's ready to go for when you guys return back on break. The third must do is to clear out your teacher area and discard or file any of those pesky papers that are lying around. I don't know about you guys, but I hate clutter. I hate feeling as though there's stuff everywhere, that I have things that I need to do. And so it's really, really important for me to ensure that my desk is completely cleared off, everything is going where it needs to go, and filing things away or just throwing it away if I have to. So take some time and really clear off your space. If you have a bulletin board like I do, or you have somewhere where you have all these different papers kind of posted up in your area, you might want to go ahead and start taking those down. Do you really need to have some of those papers? Can you maybe put them in a different location? Are you referencing them as often as you think you are? If you're not, then you might want to find somewhere else to place it. That way it just kind of looks and feels ready to go for when you come back. If you are also like me and you have tons of student work that they've just given you as far as like art pieces or thank you notes, whatever it might be, and this time of the year we get a lot of these cards, you may want to go ahead and start placing some of those either in a bin, a binder, or you can grab some form of a photo album for that specific year and then have students place all of their work there. That way they can always go through and reference it. I really like this idea because if you collect them for every single year, students can always go through and they like to look at them. It's like a yearbook, but with student work that they've given you over the years. It's just extra special. So take some of those down. You know that your students are going to make new ones for you. You're going to have stuff to be able to fill it up. So let's fill it up with some new fresh stuff and take some of those items and kind of transfer them in a different location. As for any of those papers that you have lying around your desk, you might want to go ahead and get those graded, file them all, sort them. Do you need to have those papers? Can you go ahead and just throw them away, or maybe take a picture and place them into a digital portfolio or a digital file that you can just save and reference later on? But find some ways to be able to clear your space. I have some file bins that I like to make sure that I clear everything out of. So I've taken everything out of those little areas and decided what I need to do with some of those papers. So file some of those papers away, and then finally you may want to give it a nice good clean and scrub. So wiping everything down, those surfaces that you have, posting up new things that you might need, making sure that you're getting behind any areas in your like desk spot, because that tends to get really dusty. And so it's nice just feeling as though everything is fresh and clean and ready to go when you come back. The fourth must do is to just clean and dust. And I know that my classroom gets very, very dusty. So we have to spend a little bit of time just cleaning, dusting it so that it feels nice and fresh. And so what I like to do is just take like a little dust pad or dust cloth and just go around and touch up some of my library areas, refreshing some of the books that you have, kind of checking underneath some of those books because it tends to get dusty underneath there, just making everything look prepped and ready. I know for me, my library is the biggest spot. I also have like a student area that tends to get really dusty and just with a bunch of pieces of shavings, paper shavings and pencil shavings and whatever else have you. So dust everything off and then take either a Clorox rag or something to wipe it all down to give it that nice fresh feel and clean. I promise you, by taking this extra step and doing this, you're going to feel so refreshed coming into your classroom. You're going to feel ready to get back into it, and you're going to feel even more relaxed because that relaxation that you've kind of built up all along during break, you're just going to be able to continue it as you come back. And then the final must do is to make a plan for when you return. I get it. I know you're probably saying, I have no energy to do this, and I totally understand where you're coming from. It's exhausting. You're exhausted by this time and you're just looking forward to some time away. But if we don't take the time to really think about what is it going to look like when I return, what are some of the activities that I'm going to be doing, you're going to start to feel overwhelmed and anxious during your break. It is inevitable. Let's say it's like 3 or 4 days before your break is even up, you're already starting to think, but wait, what am I going to do when I get back? What's the plan? I need to start looking for activities. And you shouldn't have to spend your break time to really think about what you're going to do when you go back. Instead, try and find the energy and the will to really focus on what you're going to do when you return from your break now. And I get it, again, it's hard because you're exhausted and you're just ready to get there. But if you take this time to really focus on what are some of those things that I can do when I return, it's going to make things so much easier for you. So here's a quick tip. Something that I will always do after any longer break is I will really think about what are those routines and procedures that I know I need to hit again. Because students are going to be excited to come back. They're going to be all over the place. Their energy is going to be on another level. And it's almost like you're at the beginning of the year all over again. So you want to teach those routines, those procedures. You want to go back over essential things that will help set you up for the remainder of the year. So what are some of those classroom routines and procedures that you can really focus on? Maybe you can talk about goal setting and what are some of the things that you can do as far as creating goals or reflecting on the previous year or for the time that you have left this year. Really focus on maybe some of those activities that you can build in and incorporate. If you take it slow and steady, you're going to ensure that you're setting yourself and your students up for success for the remainder of that year. So there you have it, guys. Those are going to be the 5 must-dos before heading out on any long-term break. I hope that these are helpful for you and making sure that you really make the most of your break and you really give back to yourself, but also that you're prepared and excited to come back after you give yourself a little you time. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Make sure to give the video a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so that you can get notified the next time I go live or upload a new video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will catch you all next time. Bye!